Finally, the fantasy football season is back and we're drafting teams tonight. So buckle up. It's the IBT Podcast Mock Draft Edition coming right at you.
I've been going dummy, out of bounds, putting on a clinic. Stick around, carrots in my hardware. KC, caught him in the crosshair. Look at me, been the guy calling Mr. MVP. Keep your ass on the bench by my MPC. Earn my stripes like I fixed this league. Your dog's on the turf, my dog's in the street. You can find me somewhere in between. Never a dull moment like a movie scene. About to do the ops like I did this beat. Let them keep talking RG3. Coming to you live. This is the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast.
All right. It is Tuesday, August 6th, 2024. This is the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast, your place for both a refreshing and feel-good take on fantasy football and NFL gambling. Fellas, ladies, we fucking did it. Fantasy football is back. The next 8 weeks are arguably some of the best on the entire calendar. No one's right. No one's wrong. Vibes are still high. I'm Seth Woolcock, and we're just a few days away from draft night out and the Fantasy Football Expo, where I'm going to be purchasing the most expensive shot of my entire life for this man. Eric, raise him up, throw him off. How we doing, Tex?
And we're doing good. The countdown clock is officially ticking loud for that shot that you owe me. What was that? Your boy JJ McCarthy has earned me a shot of tequila, which will be one of many as we all get ready to take this thing to Canton for the official opening ceremonies of football season, the Fantasy Football Expo.
Absolutely. It really is like the start of it for me.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to get back there. It's like stepping into a time machine back there in Canton. We're also joined by someone I consider a confidant in this industry, someone who means a lot to us here at IBT. Started with a partnership. Now it's a friendship. Used to be slinging country music, Christian over the radio. Now he's slinging the hottest app in the market. He's Tyler from the Fantasy Football Advice Network. What's up, Tyler?
Man, I am so pumped. First show of the season. Hopping on with you guys. No better place to be. Gonna do the mock draft thing, hang out, and I can tell you I'm riding on the energy of knowing tomorrow starts my venture to Canton.
Let's go.
Where we're gonna have a killer weekend, and Fantasy Sports Advice Network, Fantasy Football Advice Network is pumped to be there.
Yeah, you guys are sponsoring the whole damn thing this weekend.
So sponsors. Woo!
Yeah, let's go. Shout out to you guys. I'm excited for it. Excited to see your guys' network and entire program over there continue to grow. So we appreciate you being here tonight, making time for us. I'm sure your wife fucking hates me because not only were we on a call at Friday night at like 8 o'clock, and now I'm taking your last night before you're home. So I'm a real asshole. So once again, apologize to your wife for me, buddy.
I'll let her know. She knows though. She's already told me she's got a shirt that reads like it's football season,
Okay.
like she's fully owned what we're walking into. And for those guys out there, find a wife that supports what you do. It makes a difference.
We'll send her back an IBT shirt. How about that? We'll get her swagged out. Yeah, we'll get her swagged out. Tonight on the program, guys, in honor of draft night out, we're going to be doing a redraft mock draft, one quarterback, PPR, no bullshit. And then at the end, Eric, we're going to be doing our Taysom Hill jersey giveaway for the first 100-ish. We said 100. I went a little over 100, but the first 100-ish tickets sold for draft night out here.
Yeah, absolutely. Waiting to give this thing a new home. It's been burning a hole here on my desk back in the hot box in this steaming studio. So can't wait to find out who the winner is and to hand deliver that in just a few days.
Yes, absolutely. I also want to welcome in the guy who kind of plays this Wizard of Oz role for us on the program. You hear him a lot of times. You don't always see him. Every couple shows, he'll make an on-screen appearance. It's Kyle Scott. Kyle, how are we doing tonight, Jim?
Chugging my little mini gallon of chocolate milk over here, enjoying the thunderstorms in Western PA, having a great Tuesday evening with the boys.
Fuck yeah. Glad to have you back, man. Shout out to the IBT family. The support this summer, it's been unreal. The channel continues to grow. The website continues to grow. So we really, really appreciate it. We had some people ready to draft from the get-go. Michael in the chat. What's up, Michael? Good to see you, man.
Michael.
We got Grindberg hanging out. I know Grindberg's coming to draft night out as well. Good to see you. Jay Sarah saying, are you ready for some, well, Tyler, hat backwards. Lion Light Worship saying, let's go. What's up, Lion Light? Thanks for checking us out. Dynasty World Fantasy Football. That's a sick logo. I like that. Like, Eric, we're all about branding here. I know you give it to me all the time. The blue really sticks out for me on this logo. I like it.
Yeah, it absolutely pops. That's a nice design. I'm wondering if that's in-house. Not holler at your boy. I'll look for some good design work out there.
Yeah, there you go. Southern's Dad Gaming saying, what's up, IBT? Excited to see y'all in Canton. Excited to see you as well, Southern Dad. Thanks for tuning in, man. Saying, this is Josh, by the way. Yeah, Josh, you're gonna be hanging out with us at Draft Night Out. Corey, it's time. It's that time of year, y'all. Yes, it is, Corey. Good to see you, man. We appreciate you coming over tonight. Albert, good evening, IBT. Good evening to you, Albert. As always, we appreciate you, buddy. All right, guys. I think we're about ready to get into it. The only other thing I want to do is shout out some of our partners for this upcoming event. Tyler, tell us what's going on at the Fantasy Football Advice Network, my friend.
Yeah, so Fantasy Football Advice Network just launched our brand new platform. It's a social space, community space for fantasy footballers, or now leveling up fantasy sports. We added basketball and baseball. But it's fantasy sports only. None of the other stuff. We don't run ad space. We don't have people, like, it's just hanging out. There's tools on there that can help you win. There's great creators on there like IBT Media, like the Football Advice Network, like IDP Plus, that are there providing content to help just set you apart. And the community, like, that chat's been rolling. I've seen so many, like, just good advice for other players, and I don't know. I mean, you were on there the other day with a little Traylon Burks hate, but the just like the conversations that are happening are good and they're meaty. It's not like your typical, yes or no. Like, it's good stuff.
Yeah, my favorite thing about the new edition of the app and the website is now gamified, so you can actually earn points. There's a leaderboard, and I'm all the way down. Like, I was outside the top 15. I was making a push up there, but there's some people doing absolute work on there. So it makes you want to continue to get on there and chat, conversate, give advice, get advice. So we appreciate you. Any final thoughts on that? We have a couple other sponsors that I'm super excited to get to, but want to give the Fantasy Football Advice Network the entire program as well to make up for you coming on tonight, man.
No, man, it's good. It's good. Look, go to fantasysportsadvice.com, sign up. We have a free option. You can get on there. You can check it out. You can interact for free. Do that. You won't regret it. It's a good time. And Seth, I don't know if you know this, but the gamify option, the points you earn, can actually pay you out real money.
Oh, okay. All right. Money on the line over there at the Fantasy Football Advice Network. Go to the App Store, search Fantasy Sports Advice Network. I think that's the app on yep, yeah. Is that correct? Yep. And then fantasyfootballadvice.com as well. Also want to shout out FJ Fantasy Sports. They give us a bunch of our boards for this event, and Trophy Smack, man. Trophy Smack again. I didn't grab it for the pod. I should have. It was on my list today, but I did not do it. But we have a huge Draft Night Out belt. We're giving away another belt as well as a giveaway prize. And we got rings, custom rings for everyone. So it's sick. We appreciate them. And here's a little bit more about our friends over at Trophy Smack.
This is what a winner looks like, buddy. Countless hours of studying the game, watching the game, and honoring the game. Only one man can come out on top. Imagine having last year's fantasy team immortalized. Imagine walking into this year's draft party with this hog of a trophy. Trophy Smack changed the fantasy football awards game. However you want, the trophy is how you'll get the trophy. That includes free engravings for all past and future winners. They also have a sweet draft kit that delivers an epic in-person draft experience. Patrick Mahomes, Christian McCaffrey, Jamar Chase. Ever heard of them? Well, they're all in the kit. Shop Trophy Smack today and get your league something legendary to compete over.
All right. Thank you, Trophy Smack. We appreciate them. If you guys want to get some hardware here before the season starts, go over to trophysmack.com. No code needed. And also Better Vision. They're a new partner of ours. We're going to be telling you guys a lot about them this season as the draft season kind of gets going here. So shout out Better Vision as well. But let's go ahead. Let's get this mock draft started here in a little front and center.
Sometimes taking that first step out the door is the hardest thing to do. Give it a chance, you'll be begging for more. Save the spot just for you. We're all somewhere in between. How about you come to the place where you have some fun? Ain't gotta worry about knowing not what it means. You come and give me another, cause the night is young. At least I so thought.
This just in. Breaking news. Front and center.
All right, it's front and center. We are taking it to the mock draft world tonight. Again, 1 QB, PPR, 12-team mock draft. No bullshit. Introducing some of our mock drafters tonight. We have Fancy Meatball leading us off in the 1 slot. Spectacular Les in the 2 slot. And I don't know if you guys have met Les yet. Make sure it's on your Fantasy Football Expo and Draft Night Out bucket list. This guy is the life of the party. Shows up in a cowboy hat with a siren ready to go at the DC draft earlier this year for Scott Fishbowl. So Les is a fucking weapon. Happy to have him in this draft. It just feels right. Genesis Fantasy Cards. He's in our 4 slot. I've seen this guy around the Expo a couple times. He usually has a beer. He's ready to go as well. So good to see you, Genesis. Appreciate you hanging out. We got our own Sam Wise in the 5 hole. Sam's been a big part of what we've been doing over here, so we appreciate him. MVP in the 6. We got Tyler holding down the 7. Kimberly in the 8. Wild Rosie in the 9. Sean Gardner in the 10. And then Colin, our defending Draft Night Out champion. He beat all 143 people last year to take home the title. He's in this as well. And I'll be taking down the 12 slot. So, Eric, we're going to get this thing going, man. And how do you feel about this competition? Because it is stiff tonight, my friend.
Yeah, this feels like it's going to be a real sharp room, right? Like I like to try to get a little bit weird with my mock drafts, and usually that's just because I want to see where the night takes me. In this setting, I think I'm going to have to do it just to keep pace with this room. This room is going to be on point.
And Tyler, we see CeeDee Lamb go off the board there at 1. Have you been targeting Lamb at 1 all off season, or is this more just the Christian McCaffrey injury you think scaring some people off him going first overall?
Probably so. I mean, for me, it's been hands down all season. You know, if I can get CMC there, I'm trying to, just because of the desperation between him and everybody else, you know. But I mean, CeeDee Lamb's been awesome. The last year's awesome. That, you know, the team didn't change any, so you know, the idea is they can pick up right where they left off. And, you know, if you're going to take 1 overall, you might as well take the number 1 receiver in fantasy football last year that nothing really changed for.
Yeah.
Besides, he might get paid.
Yeah. Let's hope. He's also holding out, Eric, but does that scare you off CeeDee Lamb? He's got the doubtful sign next to him, or the do not report D in some platforms now.
Yeah, not at all. Right. You know, there's really only been 1 or 2 instances where a player actually extended a holdout all the way over the course of a season. And those are obviously the most fringy of cases, right? So Dallas knows they need to pay him. They also know they need to pay a lot of people. That's really what is tracking down this timeline, right? You know, he will be getting a very hefty bag well before the season starts, for my money. So taking him at 1 or 2 or really anywhere that you can is perfectly viable in my book.
Hell yeah. We got David in the chat tonight. He's saying he's back for another DNO championship, 4th year in DNO. Yeah, you're riding back in the OG days, David. So thank you for staying throughout the transformation since IVT took over, and glad to have you back here. Hopefully we can add another trophy to your cabinet here. Eric, you go Tyreek Hill at number 3 after McCaffrey goes at 2. What's the play there?
Yeah, Tyreek Hill is absolutely dominant, right? You know, if he were to hold his pace from the first half of the season, he would have broken just about every receiving record. You know, this offense in general should be one that is going to be throwing a ton, just like they were last year. And despite the fact that Jalen Waddle is still there and a very viable option,
Yeah.
Hill was number 1 in target share last year, almost 34% target share, which is just wild to think in a modern offense. So he should be feeling pretty good about himself. Got the extension that he had been angling for, so a little bit more cash in the pocket. And I think we're going to be looking at another very concentrated offense with the Dolphins in terms of their pass receivers this season.
Good. Glad to hear that you're all in on Tyreek Hill. I have a nice Tyreek Hill autographed framed jersey in the corner. Tyler, I know that was courtesy of you guys, so I appreciate winning that giveaway last year. I'm sure you're going to be slinging some different things out there. We got Breece Hall at the 104. 105 is going to be Jamar Chase, and then Bijan Robinson going in the 6 hole. Tyler, you up on the clock? What are you doing here at 7?
I know, dude. I'm just any mini miny mowing it here, and I'm just gonna go with my gut. I'm going to choose the anti-rookie quarterback receiver, and I'm going to take Amon-Ra here.
There's nothing wrong with Amon-Ra. I really like this pick just because I feel like the Lions are one of the most consistent teams in the NFL coming back this season. They don't have a high turnover rate, and it felt like even this preseason, like Amon-Ra, he's getting in some fights in training camp. He's setting the tone early, and now he's a paid guy. Like he is the man in charge. So I like the Amon-Ra St. Brown pick there. Tyler, any additional thoughts on him? Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown, who are also going off the board here.
No, I mean, Amon-Ra finished with number 3 last year. I figure if I can get a top 3 guy going in, I hate being in that middle, like especially on the back half middle, like the 7 through 9 picks, because there's not really like anybody there that I'm like, man, I've got to have this guy. I was hoping Bijan would fall, or I might get one of the top 3 running backs, but and that's just because I'm typically a hero running back drafter. Like I want one guy that's an absolute stud that can carry my running back room, and then I'll fill in wide receivers, and I'll fill in my other, number 2 backs later.
Yeah, trying to play a little hero RB ball there. So yeah, we got Amon-Ra off the board at 7 and Tyler, Justin Jefferson at 8, AJ Brown at 9, Jonathan Taylor at 10, and now we got Colin up on the board here at 11. Eric, how do you feel about the turn this year, man? The turn, I'm drafting on the turn in several of my leagues, and I don't know how I feel about it because here I'm on the clock. I have a couple different options. Jahmyr Gibbs is on the board. I feel like if Gibbs is there, I have to be at least considering it. But then I have a bunch of wide receivers that I feel like just met about.
Yeah, I don't really like it too much this year, right? And this is a deviation for me. Prior to this season, I've always loved the corners, right, and the turn there between the first and second round. This year, I feel like there are a lot of guys going at ADP that are really being drafted at their ceiling or that have significant competition around them in terms of their ability to command volume. And there are several guys that are going kind of, pick 15 through 18, pick 15 through 20 that I just categorically like more. So I don't think that there's, huge missteps or errors to be made at the 1-2 turn, but I would just rather be a little bit further up and get some of the guys that I know will be there in a few picks and maybe pair them up with an Amon-Ra or a Justin Jefferson, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's tough. It feels like a little bit of a tier break. Garrett Wilson went right in front of me to Colin, so I was left on the board. Jahmyr Gibbs is the highest player in my rankings, so to get him here at 12 feels good. And I'm going to go a little unconventional here with the other pick. I'm going to go Marvin Harrison Jr. I think, to me, Marvin Harrison Jr. has the most upside. I think he could easily return value. Like, you probably are buying him close to his ceiling here at the turn, but I don't trust Puka, especially with the injury. Too early for London, too early for Adams here. I don't want to go RB. So lock me in Marvin Harrison.
Ooh, I was specifically thinking about Marvin Harrison when I was talking about guys being drafted at their ceiling. He can certainly get there, right? He's got the talent to do it. Kyler Murray has shown himself capable of supporting a top 12, a wide receiver 1 in over the course of his career, and definitely came on hot down the stretch run. Just a lot of things are going to have to go his way. But to my point earlier, flip a coin between him and Puka Nacua, who's battling Cooper Kupp for looks. Devontae Adams, who's going to have mediocre or worse quarterback play all season long, right? Like Drake London, who I like his profile, but we've never actually seen him produce at this level, right? Like this whole neighborhood has kind of got question marks around it. So ultimately, like find your guy and plant your flag, right?
Absolutely. I want to shout out a couple people in the chat here. We got Rachel tuning in. What's up, Rachel? Good to see you. Rachel's been putting the team on her back this summer with all the different content she's been posting over here at IBT between album reviews, movie and show reviews, and then just a ton of good fantasy football and NFL betting content as well. So we appreciate you, Rachel. Excited to see you this weekend. David saying that him and his fiance are coming for the 4th year to the Expo. So there's some veterans out there, Tyler. There's some veterans. There's some gizzards in the streets, if you would.
Yeah, so I bet it's awesome because you see so many people like, and there's, the turnover between brands and different things popping in at the Expo. You always see new faces, and then you see those same faces that you're like excited to see every year.
I recognize you. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Sean saying this is his first Expo experience, coming with his brother from Cincy. So right as you were saying there, Sean's getting on the saddle here this year, Tyler.
So right here, I'm going to take a running back that I feel like is not really getting enough credit, that I would actually probably prioritize in the first round. He finished number 3 overall last year, and doesn't look to be really slowing down. And so I think he's a good grab mid-second. I'm going to take Etienne.
I think Etienne is a very solid value for you here, Tyler. Right before him went Puka, Kyron Williams, Devontae Adams, and Saquon Barkley. How do you feel about Etienne yourself, Eric? Is he someone you're targeting? In best ball, we were more able to get him back half the third sometimes. So now we're kind of moving up into redraft season. Running backs are getting taken earlier. So do you still like Etienne for the mid-second round price, or is it too much for you?
Yeah, it's a bit too rich for me, right? Like I don't find myself getting to a lot of Etienne now that his price has adjusted, right? To your point, where we were largely working off of best ball ADP, I had a ton of exposure to him. If we want to take a look at my dynasty rosters, he's one of my heaviest rostered players, right? Just specifically at this point in the draft, there are several wide receivers that I think are kind of right on the cusp of a tier break. So I want to try to capture them before we're into that next tier of wideouts. But specifically, I've got Etienne kind of clustered in a group of like 4 or 5 guys at the running back position. So I would probably look to wait here, which is, really just underscoring why I loved his 3rd round ADP as of 2 or 3 weeks ago, right? He was someone that would happily smash at that point, but he's at kind of a weird spot going in the middle of the second for me.
Where do you have him in your rankings? Like in your running back rankings, where do you have him at?
I've got him at running back 9 overall, but that tier goes all the way from 8 to 14, right? So there are a lot of guys that I feel like I can get at least kind of comparable production out of, 5, 10, 15 picks later. But I kind of like to roll the dice a little bit in my drafts, right? I like to see if I can really squeeze my way into that last guy in the tier, and sometimes it leaves me scrambling, right? So it's definitely not without its risk. To my point earlier, Etienne finished as the running back 3 on average last year. He should still have a very prolific role, even though there's whispers of Tank Bigsby out there. It's really more just it's just more of a
quiet hum,
a price consideration.
My thing about Etienne, and I trust me, I love getting him in the 3rd round, but I knew that was a value all offseason. That's why I had a lot of exposure to him early on this offseason on Underdog. But Tyler, I like this pick because you can't tell me if we add up total touches for running backs next year, Travis Etienne's probably second on the list of Christian McCaffrey. I don't think anyone's beating him in total touches. I really don't. So maybe JT, I guess, would maybe be the other guy. But to get him behind Kyron Williams, I think, and Saquon, I'm cool with it there. After that pick, we had Josh Allen, Derrick Henry, Chris Olave. Eric takes Brandon Ayuk. Sam Laporta goes to Les. Then we have Drake London, Devon Achane, Josh Jacobs. Eric, you're back on the clock here. Tell me about the Ayuk pick. You're not scared off that he could land somewhere like Pittsburgh or New England where it's a shit offense. You're taking the shot there, and what are you doing here coming back to yourself?
Yeah, so to answer your last question first, I'm going with Isaiah Pacheco. He's kind of the last player in that running back tier that I was talking about with Travis Etienne, right? For snake drafts, generally speaking, I try my best to be at the end of tiers as opposed to the beginning of them.
Mm.
Very much so happy with his workload. Obviously, this offense should be prolific yet again. Even in a down year, they were able to support him as a running back one on average. I think we will continue to see that here in the season to come. In terms of Brandon Ayuk, no, I am not worried whatsoever. You gave a couple of options in terms of where he might land. Only one of those I would categorize as a shit offense. I think your lures are actually going to be about league average, better than expected, right? And if nothing else, he's the type of wide receiver, as we've talked about on shows past, where I think his skill set can really drop into any number of systems and be very effective. But really, my decision to select him here is more so my statement that I don't think he gets traded. There's a lot of smoke out there in the world. They're saying
I'm inhaling that smoke. Let me tell you that. I've been taking big old fat rips of that because I am 100% he's not heading back. No way.
I mean, look, the reality is like this isn't a linear transaction, right? It's not, hey, go find yourself a trade partner and we're all good, right? Like the team has to be happy with the return, right? And there are only so many teams that can do that, right? Like, my continued point on this is San Francisco is a Super Bowl caliber team. They realize that. They realize they're in a window. They're not going to handcuff their offense without getting a piece back in return, specifically in the offense that can at least plug in and play at a replacement level to Brandon Ayuk. So that narrows the field significantly, right? Like Pittsburgh is not sending them George Pickens. That would literally be just a swap of guys that both want to get paid, and it wouldn't actually move the needle for either offense, right? And then on the other side, Brandon Ayuk is going to go somewhere and expect to be paid, right? So you can check the trade box. That might be fine, but that doesn't mean you're going to be able to have the money to get him the extension he wants. You can check the extension box, but that doesn't mean that you're going to have the assets to make San Francisco happy. Honestly, I kind of get the sense that this negotiation is dragged on long enough to where they're kind of letting him go out into the market and prove it, right? Just, hey, if someone wants to pay you that much and give us assets to take you on, fine. And if not, let's come back to the table and you've lost a lot of leverage. I think the latter is probably what San Francisco is doing here.
Okay. Got to catch up on some picks here. I appreciate the insight on Brandon Ayuk, and I am definitely inhaling too much smoke on it. I am a Lurs fan, even though I trashed him a little bit. So, okay, Stephon Diggs, Malik Neighbors, go right after you. I hate the Malik Neighbors is all the way up here because I was hoping maybe he could come back to me on the turn. Stephon Diggs goes, Deebo Samuel goes, Travis Kelce goes there. I love your team, Tyler. Honestly, starting Amon-Ra St. Brown, Travis Etienne, Travis Kelce, I think it's a great start. How do you feel about it yourself?
I feel like I've got ones in every spot right now, which is what I want. I want the required roster spots. I want to have ones, and I think I've got them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We got right behind you, Kimberly, saying fuck them running back. She's going with all straight 3 wide receiver sets. Justin Jefferson, Puka, and Nico. That's a good start. I honestly do like that a lot. Jalen Hurts goes after him, and then DJ Moore as well. So man. See, and that's the other tough part about the turn here. I was hoping maybe I could get one of Nico, a Malik, or a DJ Moore here, and really kind of getting snatched up pretty quickly. As I wait Colin to pick make his picks, I did want to remind everyone who's in the chat tonight, who is heading to draft night out over the weekend, we sent you an email this week. If you didn't get it, reach out to me, let me know. But the email is really important. It tells you all the items we're going to be doing in some drawings to get them out to you guys, and different ways you can actually earn tickets as well. It's not just like at a regular raffle where you go, $5 gets you X amount of tickets. There's some different promotions you can do that are actually for free, help save you money, helps us and our partners as well. And the easiest way to do that, subscribe to the channel. If you guys are new, if you haven't hung around the IBT channel so far, make sure you do. We're live here on the Fantasy Football Podcast every Tuesday, and then we have NASCAR programs on Thursdays, and then our golf program on Tuesday as well, and a bunch of clips and a lot of bullshit in between. So, all right, we got Mike Evans is the pick there. Man, I'm really happy I took Marvin Harrison Jr. Okay, so I'm on the board here. Tyler, how you feeling about it? I feel like Jalen Waddle's the easy pick for me. I think he's the last wide receiver on the board right now that I would be excited to get. I don't hate Cooper Kupp either. I think I could consider a Cooper Kupp, but Pat Mahomes staring me down in the face, and I've been on the turn a lot in this offseason, in drafts, in mock drafts, and I've taken Pat Mahomes almost every time, as well as Scott Fishbowl. So am I drinking too much Chiefs juice right now, you think?
No, I mean, you get a good quarterback, and you keep me from stacking them, you know. Keep me from stacking them.
I was really excited a couple weeks ago about late quarterback, but I've gotten a little less excited, to be honest with you. I think maybe the hype for the rookies is a little too much, and I'm trying not to drink that juice and rely on a rookie again like I did last year and was kind of left out hanging when A-Rich got hurt. But Brock Purdy was my other guy. I've been drafting late everywhere, and now I have questions about his upside without Ayuk. So I am going to lock in Patrick Mahomes here and keep things rolling here on the turn. I start Jahmyr Gibbs, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jalen Waddle, and Patrick Mahomes. I can do that turn. How do you feel about it, Eric? It's it's a little light in some ways, but I don't hate it.
Yeah, I mean, for a position that we've discussed as one where the placement of players just feels kind of weird. A perfectly fine start, right? Like guys to where if we see them, repeat their performances from last year, if we see them get, up to or near their ceiling, will be a very formidable core for you to build around, right? So definitely like the upside here, like that you're starting to fill out your roster. And, while you might not have, guys kind of at the value that you were looking for,
sure,
you are going to have, to Tyler's point earlier, a lot of guys that are, clearly elite options in the starting spots of your roster, top to bottom.
Yeah. I think attaching yourself to good offenses is always something I'm cognizant of and try to do. So to attach
100%.
myself to high octane offenses like Detroit, Miami, Kansas City, I feel good about it. Tyler, how are you feeling about your squad coming back? I know you said you have 3 ones in your back pocket here as Lamar Jackson and Cooper Kupp go off the board. What are you looking to do here without tilting your hand too much to the live audience?
Well, I can tell you this. At this point, I'm not going quarterback. Like, I'm going to push quarterback down for me. I'm a late quarterback guy. I think there's guys that you can get, in the 9, 10, 11 rounds, that they're going to be really proficient, and like I said, without tilting the hand, like there's a potential, Jared Goff will be there in that range, T-Law's typically there in the 8 to 9 range. There's several people that are there that I think will put up some production. They won't be Mahomes or they won't be Hurts, but can give me solid numbers for why I really bank my skill positions. I just don't think, and now I don't know the scoring in draft night out. Is it 6-point passing touchdowns or 4-point?
Yeah, it's 4. It's 4. So a little more difficult there as well. And you started out with Travis Kelce in the 3rd, and it's really hard for me unless it's a super flex to go with a quarterback and a tight end here early. Like you kind of have to either pick either or. You know what I mean? You kind of can't get both because then you're really going to leave yourself potentially thin at running back or wide receiver. You're on the board here. Devonta Smith, Rachaad White go right in front of you. Rachaad White's not a bad pick. We haven't talked really at all about Rachaad White this offseason. But, Eric, I remember on our redraft mock draft episode last year, we had our guy Scott Rainier. He was on the program with us, and he took Rachaad White, I think, 7th, 8th round as RB1. And we threw a little shade at him, and he ends up finishing like RB4.
Yeah, I mean, that volume is elite, right? Like, we talk about targeting guys on good offenses. We talk about guys that have an elite athleticism or skill set. I mean, at the end of the day, if someone's going to come in and get all of the work, they're going to be a very viable fantasy option. I think that is largely how White will project again this year. I think we can see this offense be pretty comparable to how it was in the prior season. So, I I mean, to be able to get him as your RB2 is a really strong position to be in, right? Like if I'm actually going 0 RB, I don't mind looking at Rachaad White as my weight on RB1, right? Because I do think he's got the inside track to a lot of the same workload he had from last season.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Good to know. Good to know your thoughts there on Rashad Ski. We got Devonta Smith, George Pickens, and DK Metcalf. Tyler, you had the biggest grin on your face. You took my guy, George Pickens. Brandon, the threat of Ayuk doesn't scare you because if Ayuk doesn't go there, man, like this is a one-man show. Roman Wilson got injured last week, the very, very talented rookie. So that's a super bummer. And it's like the running backs and Freiermuth and Pickens here. There's not a lot. Is that why you're gravitating towards the former Georgia Bulldog?
So I'll say this one thing about drafting this year. I feel like there's so much discrepancy and you have so many picks before you're back up. Like you have to sometimes reach and go get your guys, right?
Yeah.
And so like George Pickens for me this year is one of those guys. Like his whole career so far, I mean, we saw it in Georgia. We saw it in Pittsburgh. He wants to be a number one and he's talented enough to be a number one. He can catch a football just as good as anybody, And so, he's getting his shot to be that. I think that they're going to feed him. I think that they're going to feature him. And I'm not worried about drops. I don't think when you roster George Pickens, you're worried about drops. So if the targets are there, and, between what I'm seeing out in the camp space on the battle between Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, all I see when I watch the videos is a bunch of whoever the quarterback is throwing to George Pickens.
You have
which
to.
Excites me.
Yeah, you have to at this point. So I don't mind the call there. DK Metcalf, Michael Pittman, Trey McBride, and then it is Dalton Kincaid. Told Eric. I knew that one was coming. That's like a stab in the back. Yeah, it's a stab in the back. Kenneth Walker at the 411. Eric, are you as high on Kincaid as I am? Because, man, like he's right there at my tight end 3. I like Kelsey more. I like Laporta more, but no one I like more than Dalton Kincaid after that.
Yeah, I mean, I've got him at 4. For whatever it's worth, I've got Mark Andrews ahead of Trey McBride, right? But I was a bit worried that he would be off the board if I let him pass here. And I haven't gotten to him a ton in redraft context yet, so I wanted to get out there. Obviously, we know the storyline here with Buffalo, excuse me. I'm looking at Mark Andrews' card. 308 targets vacated in this offense, more than 50% of Josh Allen's pass attempts. Yes, they bring in Keon Coleman. Yes, they bring in a whole slew of just kind of mid-rotational guys. But I think the player that we see step up and eat up the majority, or at least the lion's share of that pie that's out there, is going to be Kincaid. A player that, flashed when he had the job to himself, that did plenty when they trotted out 12 personnel. So happy to get him here as the 4th tight end off the board.
Yeah, he's going to be used so dynamically in this offense. I can't wait.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Kincaid made me a ton of money last year. Like I would just go whenever they play, I would go ahead and select the over on Kincaid catches, and every week I'm like cashing in, baby. So it only gets better. Like it's a good pick.
Yeah, we got Kincaid off the board, Kenneth Walker, and then is that Kirk Cousins there? Kirk Cousins, a little Kirk Cousins love from our guy, Fantasy Meatballs. Man, mixed reviews for Kirk Cousins this offseason for me. I don't know what to expect really. Like he's been, a viable fantasy quarterback in the past, but man, like coming off an Achilles, it always worries you a little bit about that back plant foot.
It does. I think we're getting note from the chat that Meatball's internet was running a little slow on him. So I think this might have been an auto draft. See guys like CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson still sitting on the board, right?
I was trying to make Fantasy Meatballs feel a little better, not burying for it, because that would have been that would have been definitely a reach. So I'm glad that wasn't
but to your point, right? Kirk Cousins is subscribing to the Aaron Rodgers camp of Achilles recovery, saying, I don't care when it happened, I'm getting out there as soon as possible. It seems like he's getting involved as the team is organizing into camps and preparing for the season. So if he's out there, as he's now drafted
Wait.
again,
It wasn't a mistake, guys. He meant it. He meant every bit of it. Get
my
off
dude
his
planted
boy
his
Kirk
flag.
Cousins. Captain
So yeah,
Kirk.
I mean, look, he's gonna be the best quarterback for the Falcons since the Matt Ryan era, right? And he's certainly got no shortage of weapons around him. So fantasy meatball, I got nothing but love for you, brother. I'm probably not pulling the trigger on him in the fourth round, but
no,
in
dog.
terms of a sort of punt quarterback, he's one of my favorite targets, right? Like a guy that you can go fill the rest of your skill positions and know that Kirk Cousins sitting there and is probably going to throw a ton of touchdowns this year.
So my thing, if this is a legit pick on Kirk Cousins, fantasy meatballs, like I just you ever see the Randy Jackson gif? Like it's a no from me, dog. Like it's a no from me, dog. Here on Kirk Cousins. We try to give real, I don't want to bury anyone, but we do try to give real advice on this show. So I think you could have got Kirk Cousins probably in the 10th or 11th if that was. Oh no, he said he didn't choose him. He said he didn't choose him. All right, I don't know what's going on here. We'll remove that again. Can we get a different pick? Yeah, I was about to say no one hit draft.
He chose him twice in a row before the time ran out. Who's clicking his button?
He wanted Dallin Stroud. Okay.
He's saying you
okay.
wanted Dallin Stroud.
Let me fucking help you out there, bud. Oh yeah. Okay, there you go. Yeah, we got her. Oh, hold on. Sorry about that. He made the pick and then I made the pick for him. All right. We're good. Good to go there.
We're
all
moving,
right.
baby.
All right.
Look at that no wide receiver draft going right there. Nothing but running back love.
Wow.
Man, I'm catching gut punches here by this auto pick in front of me. No wide receivers, all running backs, and specifically going after Alvin Kamara, who I was targeting there.
Alvin has been up on my board. I was thinking maybe you come all the way back to me at the end of the 5. Alvin Kamara feels like for me that you can almost get him in it's a high end RB2 price tag you're paying, but this guy could be a top 10 running back once again. So I like Alvin Kamara. There's not a whole lot still there, but besides Chris Olave, besides Kamara, Kendra Miller's in the fucking doghouse still. So yeah. Hey, what are you doing here, Eric? What are you thinking? What's your consolation prize to Kamara?
The thing here for me with Alvin Kamara is really, I want to see him in this Kubiak offense, right? Like we talk about getting the most out of running backs. The Shanahan tree has a proud lineage of that. We've also seen Dennis Allen just throwing our guy Kendra Miller under the bus, under the car, under the bike, under anything that moves, right? So I think we're going to see plenty of Alvin Kamara, and in the system that's going to be very productive from a fantasy standpoint. Consolation prize is to scramble and reach for Anthony Richardson. I'm a little bit closer to Tyler's camp in terms of quarterbacks generally. I'm not trying to go out there and spend super early draft capital, but we're talking about a guy that over the course of 11 quarters of action last year absolutely set the world on fire, averaging almost 19 fantasy points per game. One of those games was one that he exited early with the injury that shut him down for the year. So prolific upside, obviously you're taking on that injury risk, but here in the 5th round to get a guy that, on his range of outcomes has QB1 pretty well circled, feels pretty good.
Yeah. I'm on the other end, and I can't get in. I can't get on the Anthony Richardson train. Personally, I think he's a value there as a running quarterback and in possibility, right? If he can stay healthy, he's going to get rushing touchdowns.
You're a little more risk adverse though, Tyler. You're definitely a more risk adverse manager. And I think that, goes back to your style of that.
Well, I don't mind going for risk. I don't mind throwing it all out there on a player that I really believe in. But, for me, and I've said this over and over, I just can't believe a guy that goes to Florida, right? And plays with 5-star talent, plays with a great head coach, can't finish over 500, can't stay healthy. Then he comes to the NFL and first season, 11 quarters, as you said, and then he's gone, I said this last year, the only thing that gives me hope for Anthony Richardson is the head coach.
Yeah.
Like that guy can develop
The
quarterback.
prince that was promised.
Yeah. So if he can develop him, yes, he's going to be a gem.
Yeah.
Just for me and the value, the consistent value I know I can get later. I haven't taken any Anthony Richardson shares, and I salute those who do. So, Eric, props to you, bud. Do your thing.
Yeah.
I'm just not in
Yeah.
on him.
Well,
You may not be in
Tyler,
on ETN on the second round. I ain't in on A-Rich.
what Tyler really underscores there is the fact that you have to be fluid in your draft strategy, right? So like Anthony Richardson was everyone's darling and had his ADP steamed all the way up thanks to our friend
All the
Scott
way.
Fish and this little tournament that he puts on, right? That he was going off as the number one quarterback on the board in some cases. And I think we've seen his price tag in just redraft context still stay a little bit elevated. For me, him coming as the sixth quarterback off the board is fine. But to Tyler's point, you better believe I'm going to be looking at a much more steady guy. I don't know, like a Kirk Cousins a few rounds later, maybe a round ahead of ADP, because I do want to have someone that I can rely on if that injury bug pops back up, right? So Richardson at this point is not someone I've been getting to a ton, but like I said off the rip, right, I want to try something a little bit different with this mock.
In the fifth round.
I loved A-Rich last year. He was like one of my all-in picks. I loved him from top to bottom and went all in on him and just kind of, got bit by the bug. And I feel like I haven't been as excited to draft him this year, but I know what the upside is because it's the same as last year. So I think I need to be diving back in those waters for sure. After Anthony Richardson, James Cook, Kyle Pitts, Joe Mixon, James Conner, Mark Andrews, Amari Cooper, T. Higgins, and Christian Kirk are off the board. So, a fair amount of wide receivers here, just going off at the back end of the fifth round. We have Mark Andrews falling. I know I said, Tyler, I don't like going quarterback, tight end here both early, but if Mark Andrews came back to me, I would have had to have thought about him here in the fifth round. And man, I honestly don't love the board here. Don't have a ton of high hopes for what I'm seeing on the board here. Man, yeah, a lot of players that were on my list just kind of got taken off there. Oh man, have we really gotten to this point already too? Where like I've been drafting Keenan Allen all off season, but is the 5-6 turn just too much for him? I feel like it might be. Oh,
I don't want to tell you how to live your life, but Keenan Allen would definitely be a prime choice for me among these options.
Yeah, this is
I also
bullshit.
think there's a pretty clear option at running back too for my money if you're going to go speculate in that market.
No, I'm definitely not taking a running back here. I don't like this tier of running backs here. Kind of think we're like getting closer to the dead zone while rather just punt. Oh no. I'm not. I'm taking that back.
It's exactly what you wanted. It's Zay Flowers. Congratulations.
we extend grace at we extend grace at draft night out. So we'll also extend grace here in the mock draft. I am going to take Keenan Allen. And then I'm going to play it safe here. I'm going to go Terry McLaurin. I haven't drafted any Terry McLaurin this offseason, but editing and listening to one of the recent Fantasy Pros podcasts, I think Joe Pisapia put it best. Like, this guy has played with absolute dog shit quarterbacks his entire career. I'm not huge into Jane Daniels as everyone else is. I don't have really any exposure to him this offseason other than a couple best balls, but damn, he's got to be better, right? Like, he's been playing with the ghost of Carson Wentz and Alex Smith and Taylor Heineke and Dwayne Haskins. Like, it hasn't been great, it hasn't been great. So Terry McLaurin there is the pick for me. And Eric, I round out my my wide receiver room here with a couple steady vets.
Yeah, definitely like the Keenan Allen selection there. Candidly, I know I'd be reaching a bit, but I was taking a long hard look at Keenan Allen where I selected Anthony Richardson.
Oh, wow.
I think that he is going to see a ton of volume in this offense. It's an offense that should, by all measures, be better than it was last year. And moreover, the context of your team matters, right? If you're targeting that type of player as your third wide receiver, you're in a much better position than if you're depending on him as your two, or if you really got weird and he's your wide receiver one, right? So love the pick for you there. And with McLaurin, the thing that I think is most promising for him, jury legitimately out on Jaden Daniels. You can love him, you can hate him, whatever it might be. Cliff Kingsbury, the first 3 years he was in the NFL as a head coach for the Arizona Cardinals, his team finished third, and third in pace of play. They are going to be flying up and down this field. It should be a fairly high-scoring offense, at least one where we're going to be seeing a ton of passes attempt, a ton of looks going McLaurin's way. So, to now have him as your flex spot or your first wide receiver off the bench as the clear number one option in Washington is a great place to find yourself in.
A couple notes here from the chat. We have first David saying he doesn't think he got that email for draft night out. Send me a DM afterwards, man, either to the IBT account or myself. And actually, I'll note it right here. Actually, I'll note it.
We'll do it live.
Hey,
Yeah.
Seth, quick question: is
Sure,
draft night out have any tight end premium scoring?
No tight end premium here. No bullshit, Tyler. No bullshit. Just
Hey man, I'm just asking. I'm
Nope.
sitting here looking at the board, and I'm in a rougher spot than you were at the turn. I'm like, who do I want to take here?
yeah.
And I'm like, I feel like I like the George Kittle value, especially if Ayuk does hit the road, right? But
you want to double up on tight ends early? That would be I've seen people use the bully tight end method,
bully.
but the thing I usually see also is someone trading one of their tight ends by like week 5. So you would be in the market to sell one, but if you want to grab the value on Kittle, there's nothing against it.
You know what? Let's do it.
Yeah, fuck
Let's
it.
do it.
YOLO.
Throw a little
YOLO.
caution. Throw a little
YOLO.
bush play in the air. There you go.
I'm banking on the Ayuk trade. Now I did see an update. I know we're spending a lot of time on Ayuk. I saw a thing come across that said supposedly that there are 2 deals already worked out for Ayuk that are good to go, and they're basically letting Ayuk decide. And Pittsburgh was not one of those. It was New England and Cleveland.
But then we have an update here from Albert in the chat about 11 minutes ago, and I'm guessing this probably broke when we were. And again, this is all speculation. We don't know how this is getting leaked in the first fucking place, but the Patriots are no longer interested in trading for Ayuk here from Albert in the chat. So I heard the same report earlier today, Tyler, but it seems like it's kind of we're switching up here. For sure.
It's going to be a switch. It's going to be a this, that, then the other. And the next thing you know, gets sold for a 4th round pick to somebody.
The Chiefs or something. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if he's going for a 4th round pick, clearly he's going to Cleveland. Cleveland is the king of getting wide receivers on the cheap.
Yeah.
But to my point earlier, right? Like it's not just you have to have the trade capital and the willingness to trade for Ayuk.
Yeah,
you also have to be able to pay him, right? That might be why the Patriots are potentially out. And we talk about Cleveland, the other team that was named there. They've got negative cap space. Where are they going to find the money to pay this dude, right? So, like, there's a lot of things that have to go right for this trade to happen. And like I said, even if it does, I think Ayuk is the type of player that can thrive in a number of different schemes and systems.
Yeah. Eric's drafting Brock Purdy. That's what that means there. One other note from the chat that I thought was hilarious. It says, did you guys get a group discount on blue backlighting or something? That's hilarious. That's maybe the comment of the year.
We'll green.
Put it back to the blue. I like.
I like it. It's like it fits him. It's like he's the Grinch. He comes to steal Christmas and the joy out of our mock draft.
He's going in the center. Then you're going in the center because I need some symmetry. So after Tyler's double tight end pick there with George Kittle, Aaron Jones off the board, Joe Burrow, Najee Harris, Rashee Rice, Rome Odunze. Now we're about right here on this 6-7 turn. We're up with Fantasy Meatball. No Kirk Cousins on his team, but he does have CeeDee Lamb, Drake London, Devon Achane, Tank Dell, Stroud. So like the build he's going for is as some young wide receiver upside on that team. Devon Achane, the only singular back here, though, which is a little bit risky given his injury history. So curious to see kind of what happens here on the turn with Fantasy Meatball.
Yeah, it should be an interesting one to see it play out. There's a couple different directions I would look to go in his spot.
Yep.
Specifically, Ramondre Stevenson is who I was hoping to draft a few picks later. So I will reel from that update. I kind of like. Okay, yeah, he's listened to us flat out. He's going with a little bit later running backs that should have the inside track to a ton of volume, which is a fantastic strategy. Like those 2 picks there for our guy Meatball for sure.
Yeah, shout out Meatball. Jaden Reed next. Man, Jaden Reed in the 7th round. It's solid. We've talked about these Packers wide receivers at length this offseason. I'm going to be taking some shots later on Dontavian Wicks. But to get Jaden Reed in the 7th, it's the most expensive Packer wide receiver, but I'll still take it. Eric, no Reed for you, no White for you, no Stevenson, no Adunze for you there. The last 4 off the board. What do you do coming back here? You're on the clock, 7-3. Your team looking nice, though. Tyreek, Ayuk, Pacheco. You got a little Dalton Kincaid, A-Rich, Rashid Rice. So we're out of the best ball streets. You don't have a ton of team symmetry going on. Do you change that here?
Yeah, these last handful of picks were made directly out of my queue. So I'm having a very quiet little breakdown. So much so that I'm going to take someone like 14 picks ahead of ADP. Jonathan Brooks, one of the few players that is still available at this point in drafts that should have a 3-down role in his offense. An offense that I'm not super bullish on, but one that invested heavily in the guard position. So if they can get to a point where they're even just close to average, I think that we can get good return on Jonathan Brooks here at this point of the draft.
Yeah, fuck yeah. I'm with you there. Keeping going through here, we got Hollywood Brown coming off the board at 704. And it's funny, Eric. I talked about Jonathan Brooks a couple weeks ago. And on ESPN, he's going about mid 6 rounds. So sleeper, he's a little bit buried on the ADP. You said you even thought you drafted him maybe a little bit above ADP. But if you're patient there, man, if you grab Chuba Hubbard late as well, like you lock down a backfield for a pretty good price.
Yeah, I'm obviously eating the risk of him potentially taking some time to ramp up or missing some games, right? But I do think, later in the draft, whether it's Hubbard or just other guys that might not have the starting role but should have a pretty defined role in their offense, I think I can tread water for a little bit and while I wait for, again, what will likely be a 3-down role with Jonathan Brooks.
Yeah. Tyler, you're almost up on the board here, man. Calvin Ridley off the board here, right in between you and one final pick. It's Keon Coleman. Right now, you got Amon-Ra, you got Pickens lining up in your wide receiver slot, Travis Etienne, James Conner, and then the double tight end stack with Travis Kelce and George Kittle. What do you do here? A couple high upside wide receivers off the board right ahead of you.
I'm stuck between 2 players. I was hoping they were going to make the decision for me.
Yeah.
And and take one of them. But that didn't happen. So now I'm just fighting my own instinct. So I typically draft running back heavy.
Sure.
That's what I do. They're the most fragile position. They fall off during the season. So if I can grab some strong depth there, I can grab, you can grab wide receivers in like late that could still have some strong potential.
Starting value. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like I grabbed Curtis Samuel last year in like the last round of every draft I was in, and like he put up great numbers for that kind of value, so like you always have those wide ups and usually in the late picks, I try to land, rookie. That's where I target my rookies.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to kind of stick to my guns here and go with somebody I like. I know he's going to face a little competition, but I like him better than the other. And I'm going to take Pollard.
Pollard. Okay. Yeah, I'm mixed on Pollard. Honestly,
look, you're mixed. Here's why you're mixed. You're mixed because last year he played in a design system that was not his kind of system.
Sure.
He's not a power back, run up the middle type of guy. He's a spread offense, get him the ball in space and let him do his thing, and so they tried to make him be Zeke last year, and he isn't built to be Zeke. That's not how he plays. And so, you take him to Tennessee, they understand the type of running back they want. They got 2 backs that really fit the same kind of role. And, I think I like Tajay Spears. I'm not dogging him at all. I just like Pollard better. Plus, I have to grab a little bit of that Memphis royalty. I work a street over from his pop's barbecue shop.
Okay.
And so I got to support local. And so I'm going to take Pollard.
Okay. All right. Tony Pollard is the pick there from Tyler. Got Kyler Murray off the board. I'm not sure how long we'll go through this, guys. We'll give it another 15 or 20 minutes, see how many picks we can get through. So we'll try to pick up the pace a little bit. Don't want to keep everyone from their night too much, but good to get some practice in here for Saturday. Eric, what are you going to be drinking on Saturday? Last year I tried to keep it light, a little vodka Sprite, but I don't think I want the sugar this year, my friend. I woke up Sunday morning to Charlie horses in both legs, dog. So it's like
Yo,
I don't think I don't want to do with sugar, but don't always get Bush Light at the brew kettle. Best food ever. Honestly, fantastic fucking food. Very good beer selection, but not always Bush Light. So I got to venture outside my comfort zone, I think, on Saturday. What do you think?
yeah. So the lesson here is whatever I'm drinking, as whatever most of you are drinking, whatever it might be, should be interchanged with water. That is very much so the game plan heading into the brew
Yep.
kettle. You
Yep.
might be taking a few extra bathroom trips and you planned on. It's fine. Your Charlie horse, your hangover, your next day will
Yes.
thank you for it. I try not to lock in ahead of time, but I'm pretty sure the tequila is going to be flowing like water for me at this expo, right? I got a little concoction that's kind of like a broken down margarita, right? Tequila, a little bit of club soda, a little bit of agave
Oh.
nectar, and we're off and running. That's plan number one. But kind of like I was saying with this draft, right? Sometimes the prevailing winds change. You gotta ride the vibes. So we'll see. We won't know for sure until we actually get out to the brew kettle on Saturday.
Yeah, good call. Flying by the seat of your pants. I like it. Albert saying, "Have you tried Bush Light Peach, Seth?" I've tried it. Don't worry, it's okay. It's all right. It has nothing. It doesn't hold the jock strap of the Bush Light Apple. Let me tell you that the Bush Light Apple,
Oh,
by far the superior beer. So yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I fuck with it. So I am on the board here, and I have been sniped many times. I was thinking Brock Bowers, maybe give me a little Brock Bowers rookie action there. Didn't go my way here. So I think I'm going to probably totally punt tight end, which I'm not huge in doing. And I'm going to continue to stack some wide receivers. Xavier Worthy, I get the Pat Mahomes Worthy stack. I've been eyeing the Rashee Rice stack. Didn't get that thanks to Eric. So I'll take the consolation prize here in the rookie. And then I'm gonna lock in my RB2. I think I've gone long enough. Round 8 here. Give me Raheem Mostert. I think whether you love Achane or not, Raheem Mostert's still going to have a role in this offense as long as he's healthy. Could fall in the end zone quite a bit. So, yeah, give me a little Raheem the Dream here at the turn for the 8-1. All right. And Fantasy Football Mad Lab Science saying, Wild Rosie wins. Now double down and take Deontay, and you're my hero. Wild Rosie, let's check out her team. She's drafting here from the 9 slot. It's AJ Brown, Kyron Williams, Jalen Hurts, Rashad White, Amari Cooper, Evan Ingram, and Chris Godwin. So pretty balanced, honestly, overall. Got a little bit of everything. Is not weak anywhere. Yeah, I don't mind this roster at all. Not a huge Kyron Williams guy in the second, but aside from that, Tyler, how do you feel about our girl Rosie?
Yeah, I mean, the mad scientist is talking about, and he said it in the chat. He was targeting Chris Godwin and Deontay Johnson in these rounds. I liked Chris Godwin. That's who I was kind of debating between him and Pollard. But the drop off at running back after that is a lot of maybes, right? And I feel like I can still get some strong wide receiver twos after this. So like I was hoping Deontay may make it back around to me and I could grab him. I think he's a good value, in like round 8 where we're at. But I think she's putting Rosie is putting together a good squad. It's a pretty strong, it's a diverse squad. She's already locked in her starting roster. She's got a quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and a good tight end. I like it.
Yeah. Deontay Johnson is the pick here at Collins 8-2. Colin, he's our defending champion. I think it's interesting to kind of study what he's doing here because Eric, not only is draft night out a league by league thing, you have to win your league and then you advance to a round 17, or I think it's a week 17 championship we did. And then you kind of battled out with the 12 other winners. So you're going for a little bit of diversity in your lineup here. Is that something you'd be considering if you were drafting on Saturday?
Yeah, for sure. Right. And generally speaking, right, like with these larger tournaments, you kind of have to put an emphasis on upside, because yes, you have to make your way out of your league or your division, but you're trying to defeat a pool of a couple hundred people, right? So you definitely need some top end outcomes in order to get there. And part of the way to actually not just make the playoffs but to take the thing down is to have a unique lineup, right? And based on who he's got laid out here, I mean, this feels like a pretty differentiated team, right? Like, I don't think he's really made any any glaring errors or reaches necessarily, but just guys and a texture kind of composition that I don't think I would find myself targeting. So, all told, I think that if he makes his way back to the playoffs with a roster like this, he's probably going to be the only one that has this exact allotment of players, right?
For sure. Former Steelers Deontay Johnson goes there. Zach Moss. And then it's Javonte Williams, decisive player, Javonte Williams. A lot of hype kind of coming out of nowhere for him, that maybe the rumors of him getting cut are not so truthful after all. So the Javonte Williams goes there. And then Jalen Warren goes here in the 9th round as well. Kyle, what are the vibes out there like in Pittsburgh? Are there a lot of lures talk in the street right now? You hearing it around campus there? What's going on out there? People excited about Justin Fields, Jalen Warren and company, my friend? Wow, I think we might have lost Kyle. I think we might have lost Kyle in the back end.
Scott, where you at?
He said fuck this mock draft. Oh man. Come on. Have a little respect, Kyle. We'll check back in with you. Let us know when you're back hanging around. Brian Thomas, Cortland Sutton, and Lad McConkey. Jordan Love is next. Okay. All right. Good little quarterback one for our guy, Genesis Fantasy here. I think in the 8th round. So I like that pick. Tyler, you go with the upside of Brian Thomas. I don't hate it at all, man. Like, my thing about Brian Thomas is I think you're kind of getting him at value, because realistically, he could play the Calvin Ridley role in this offense. And Calvin Ridley was a couple feet away from having a really big season, just couldn't stay in bounds for most of it.
Yeah. And Brian Thomas makes available a deep threat that I don't think Trevor's really had. Like, he hadn't really had that guy that can just burn. They were hoping it would be Calvin Ridley, but we didn't see it work that way. So I mean, I like it. I like the grab. I didn't really love the situation. I mean, you got Jordan Addison still sitting there. Rookie quarterback. You don't really know even what's going on with with that situation, period. Is it going to be Dalton? Is it going to be JJ? They're saying it's going to be Dalton, which makes you feel less excited about it. So
Arnold.
You got some value that's sitting there just hanging.
Yeah. I've been eyeing, not to shout out anyone's names if they are targeting Jordan Addison. I'm sure Eric is, now that we passed him. He goes Nick Chubb, locks in his running back 3. Eric, a little bit of a risky move there for you, taking 2 guys who might not be available till mid-season. Is that okay by you? I mean, I know obviously that's kind of when you're thinking, hey, like, we're gonna hit the stretch run here and go for it, but you're gonna have to find another running back too early on in the season.
Yeah, I guess of the 2, I'm more concerned about that outcome with regard to Brooks, right? For me, and this has been a constant theme for as long as I've been on this show. The way to understand a team's intentions and motivations, and seemingly players as well. Don't listen to what they say. Don't read all these reports. Watch what they do. Nick Chubb took a considerable pay cut to stay in Cleveland. He can make a lot of that money back by way of incentives, but the vast majority of those incentives are essentially out the window if he starts the season on PUP, right? So I think that he was very confident in his ability to squat like 900 pounds and make his way back to the Browns for the start of the regular season. So much so that he was willing to kind of gamble on his salary in that regard, right? So again, a bit risky trying to take down a very large field tournament here. This is one of those shots where I don't think that Chubb and his team would agree to that sort of contract structure unless they felt very confident about his ability to return to the fields.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Glad to hear it. Dave saying, I think last year it was the highest scoring championship team because week 17 was just our regular season championship in Jerry Rice division. Okay. Good to know. He's playing in Franco Harris division this year, but bringing home back-to-back chips regardless. Like to hear it, dude. Like to hear it. Dalton Schultz off the board here. I think we'll go till round 10. We'll finish out round 10. We'll get everyone home tucked in because let me tell you, man, I don't sleep much during these draft night out, during these Expo weekends. Tyler, I'm pretty sure you and I were rooftop about 4:30.
Oh yeah,
quite a few beers deep and hanging out, man, hanging out for sure.
We'll probably be there again. It's okay.
I'm trying to take it easy Friday night. I need to be in my my best form here for Saturday for draft night out to be ready for everyone. So I say that, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. All right, we got Hopkins, Jordan Addison off the board. Eric's probably pissed. What are you thinking, my friend?
Yeah, not pissed at all. Obviously, you've got the Hopkins injury consideration. Addison, I'm worried about his potential for a suspension in addition to his quarterback deal. Usually, I kind of preach patience with regard to that, but he's already got a court date set, right? He's got a court date set in October. So if he gets the sentencing quickly, we could see the NFL respond with a suspension as soon as this year. So I think that's why he was dropping. I'll go with JSN as my wide receiver 4. Now that Shane Waldron and his hate of 3 wide receiver sets is out of Seattle, I do think that we see a bit more of that potential realized for JSN this season.
Oh yeah. Glad to hear that. I'm back in on JSN as well. He's probably one of my favorite players that I've been drafting almost every single draft that I can. So to lock in him as your wide receiver 4, it feels good. And do you have an idea when Rashee Rice's court date is or anything? Because you were pretty aggressive drafting him, I feel like.
Yeah, I don't, and that's the point, right?
He's in that slow rolling Texas justice system.
Well, generally speaking, we see these things, play out over the course of time, right? Alvin Kamara was probably the most recent example, and his incident happened well earlier in the year than Rashee Rice's, and he didn't see a single game suspension that upcoming season because he didn't have his day in court that upcoming season, right? And these legal teams, these lawyers are pretty good about filing motions and extensions to where it's kind of kicking the can down the road, right? So here we are with Rashee Rice, really with no idea what his time frame is in terms of his upcoming court appearances, which would indicate to me it's very unlikely it will happen this season.
Yeah.
And in turn, the NFL has been clear, they're not going to take any action until the legal process has unfolded. So that's really the first domino to fall, and we don't have any reason to believe that's going to fall here this year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. After JSN, it's Romeo Doubs, Trey Benson, Jerome Ford, Ezekiel Elliott. To you, Tyler, you're back on the Zeke horse because I am too, honestly. Like, I don't know if I've gotten all the way to the 9th round with him, but I've been taking my shots in the 10th and 11th round, and now we're in redraft. Like, now's the time you have to pay up for a little bit of a running back. So you like Zeke here in the 9th round, I take it.
Look, it's kind of one of those my guys things, Sure. I've drafted Zeke like every year for the last, I don't know how many years. And it's kind of like, it almost feels like we're getting close to that farewell season. And it's like, I gotta go with my ride or die. You know what I mean? But I will say this, Zeke's been very good. He went to New England last year, and every year that Zeke
shit ton of balls.
Every time,
55.
Look, he has finished in the top percentage of running backs every time he gets anywhere around 70, catches in a season. And last year you saw that, his worst season was when Pollard was there and Pollard was taking those catches. He goes to New England and they start throwing him the ball the second half of the season. And then all of a sudden Zeke's winning you games. Zeke's putting mad points on your board. And so, going into the season, I don't know that Dallas isn't looking to bring back the dream, You know what I mean? Like it's like
Mhm.
reuniting the, LeBron with, or reuniting the Warriors, like they're trying to bring that dream team back and get their championship. And I think Zeke wants to be there. I think he's putting in the work to be there. And, for me, the value, I don't think there's a clear, I don't think behind Zeke there's a clear set of how that backfield really works out. I know there's a lot of
Mhm.
Rico, upside, that's there, but I don't know. For me, I think it's worth the pick that late. I mean, you think any years past, besides maybe last year, you're having to take Zeke in the top 3 to 4 rounds,
Yeah.
and the fact is, in Dallas, he can put up those numbers again, I feel like. So, this is a mock. I want to throw some thoughts out there. I want to be a little bit different than what people are expecting. And, Zeke, somebody in that 10 and 11 rounds, especially, but even in the ninth, I'm probably finding some value, and especially in this draft where I feel like running backs have been targeted at a much
Early.
higher
Oh, yeah.
volume than your other, like the receivers that are left. Like you still have a lot of stud receivers out there, and running backs, especially that could have RB1 status, are real thin, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm. Yeah, no, if Zeke fell back to me here at the turn, I would have definitely taken him. I've been high on him. It's a volume play for me. Like I don't think he'll be the most efficient numbers, but if they can learn anything from what the Patriots did with him last year, he can still catch, man. He had over 55 targets last year. He made the most of them, looked good in the receiving game. Tyjae Spears off the board, Khalil Shakir, Christian Watson, Brian Robinson. Man, picked right out of my queue. Top 4, all gone. Dream shattered. I'm back on the board here. I'm going to lock in my tight end 1, Dave Njoku. Feels really good to get him end of the ninth round. I think that's a value. And I'm also going to go with Austin Eckler here at the 10-1. For me, Austin Eckler is nothing sexy. Kind of just like another guy. I don't think he's going to get a ton of volume, but I think he's going to be efficient when he does, behind a little bit different of an offensive line, not with the Chargers now. So I think Austin Eckler overall. Are there question marks? Absolutely. Is Jaden Daniels going to pass it a lot to him? I'm not sure, but Cliff Kingsbury, I'm sure, is excited to use him in this offense. They knew Cliff was the coordinator when they went out and got Austin Eckler. I think they'll dial him up here. So locking in a little bit of Washington upside here, but doesn't feel great to have 2 commanders on my team. But yeah, it was pretty much between him and I'm off Gus Edwards now, right? A little bit now. I don't know how you feel about it, Eric, but I was really high on Gus earlier this offseason, and I feel like now the drum beat for JK is building. My love for Gus is fading, and I even consider Blake Corum and Chase Brown here instead of Eckler as well. Those were 2 other guys I had circled.
Yeah, there are a couple names that you listed off that I would take ahead of Austin Eckler. Chase Brown being one. I think that he is going to be very explosive yet again this year and earn a bit more work than we're clearly projecting him relative to Zach Moss. And the other is the guy that you're cooling on, Gus Edwards. And that is for no reason other than a bit of reporting from our friend Jeff Ratcliffe. He talked to Hayden Hurst at the Trophy Smack Scott Fishbowl live draft, and Hayden Hurst told him that the job is Gus Edwards, right? Maybe that is in the context of for the beginning of the year, whatever it might be. This obviously wasn't a on the record type of conversation, but Jeff went to air with it, and these guys that are out there practicing with them every single day have a much better read than what we're trying to decipher based on these reports that we're getting out of the beat reporters. So, I was just kind of going for the cheapest Chargers running back
Yeah.
as a default stance previously. But if Hayden Hurst is going to go out there, tell this to a member of the media and co-sign it to the point where he's going to take it to air, I think there's probably some weight behind it. So I'm starting to get a little bit more Gus Edwards than I was earlier in the summer.
A little more Gus Bus action for you here. After I go with Austin Eckler, it's Jameson Williams, it's Curtis Samuel, Tyler's boy, and then Caleb Williams goes off the board. Like Rosie, she's locking in her second quarterback here. I'll tell you what, if this comes down to a real draft night out league, Rosie, you're gonna have some leverage to potentially trade off later in the year. Chase Brown, the guy Eric just mentioned, he went maybe a little buyer's remorse for me. Trevor Lawrence here as well to you, Tyler. Tyler, how do you feel about it, man?
I will say this. I feel like I could have got Trevor Lawrence in the next round. You said we were ending round 10, so I wanted to have a full roster. But I think this is a perfect example. Like right now on the board, you got Brock Purdy, you got Tua, you got Jared Goff, you got Jaden Daniels, you got Justin Herbert, you got Trevor Lawrence, who I just took, Kirk Cousins, Matthew Stafford. You have a ton of serviceable quarterbacks here, and we're in the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th round. So it shows you can actually punt quarterback and be strong. Like, even if you're looking for a running quarterback, Jaden Daniels is still sitting there in round 10. Like, I'm looking at him, for rushing touchdowns. He's always been able to move his feet. He's somebody I would have took here had I not stacked Brian Thomas and Travis Etienne. There, but there's a ton of good quarterback talent still available on the board.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I'm surprised Daniels is still on the board this far into things. Purdy cooling off a little bit in ADP, I think, because the Ayuk rumors as well. Tua, Goff, as you mentioned, some good prospects out there. Zach Charbonnet, Dallas Goedert, Devin Singletary, and then to you, A.D. Mitchell, Eric.
Yeah, my guy A.D. Mitchell, and absolutely athletic freak of nature, right? If it wasn't for his college running mate Xavier Worthy, A.D. Mitchell would have been the story of the draft combine this year. Apparently didn't exactly bring the energy during the interview process. That's what had him falling down to a Colts team that I think is going to be fairly prolific on the offensive side of the ball, right? Tyler talked about it earlier in the show. Shane Steichen is that dude. He can get this offense humming. So I'm happy to get a guy to pair up with Anthony Richardson.
Mm-hmm.
This was also a point where I would probably start looking at my second kind of safer quarterback to pair with Richardson, but I already kind of made that point. So figured I would take an opportunity to stump for A.D. Mitchell as my wide receiver 5.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Locking A.D. Mitchell there, Brock Purdy, Gus Edwards. That's going to end our on-air live draft. We'll keep it going in the background so everyone can kind of round out their teams here as we end the night, but don't want to keep anyone else any longer than we have to. Kyle, you still with us? We got a copy on Kyle. We sent in a search team here.
Yeah, I was drowning in some chocolate milk out here.
Okay.
Been there, brother. Been there.
The question I asked you earlier, how are the vibes out there in Pittsburgh? You got training camp just up the road in Latrobe. People talking Justin Fields, people talking big Russ Wilson in the street. What's going on out there?
Yeah, man, Justin Fields is the new face of Pittsburgh at this point, I'd say. And I think right now I can see a trail of cars headed to Latrobe. So that's how the vibe is, man. Everyone wants to be here. We are the jewel of Appalachia.
Yeah, a little Justin Fields, Paul Skeens led town. I like it. Like to hear it out there. We got Dick Trickle saying, what value should I assign to Tim Tebow? Whew. That's a tough one. Listen, man. We all rode Tim Tebow back in 2011 or 2012 with the Broncos. When was that? I don't know. Whenever that was. Don't act like you weren't riding him in fantasy football like the rest of us, Dick Sickles. All right, guys. Well, that's gonna about do it for us. I do actually. I'm gonna bring up our Taysom Hill giveaway here as well, and we'll raffle this up. But thanks to everyone for mock drafting with us. We kind of finish this up in the background. Excited to see everyone at draft night out this weekend. It's gonna be an awesome time. So we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna click this wheel. We're gonna spin it. Got about 100+ names in here, lagging me up hard as shit here. Justin Bruni. Okay, Justin Bruni. All right, we'll make sure we bring that up. I know Justin. I'm pretty sure he won one of our giveaways last year as well. So Justin, he's got a little streak of luck here heading into DNO. And again, if you guys want to check out the informational email I sent to the IBT family members over the weekend, told you more about the draft and what was going on there and those different promos that you guys can get involved with. Make sure you do so. Tyler, one more time, man, how can we best support you and everything you guys are getting into this weekend other than booze until 4:30 a.m.?
Man, go to fantasysportsadvice.com and set up your account. We're going to be doing some massive giveaways. We have a giveaway partnered with you guys, And speaking of the number one wide receiver, kind of like that Tyreek Hill thing that you won last year,
Yeah.
I have a CD Lamb of the exact same thing that we're going to be giving away. So if you're going to be at the Expo, definitely hit us up. Go set up your account on fantasysportsadvice.com and come hang out with Seth and everybody else on there. And, just join the community, hang out.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, make sure you head over there to fantasyfootballadvice.com. Make sure you download the app. It is well worth the time. It's free to get involved as well. And it's a great community. And this is the time we need it, man. This is the time that we're heading to battle. So we need our fellow soldiers with us. So make sure you're getting over there at fantasyfootballadvice.com. Eric, I know you have IBT shit going on. I know, we're working some shit behind the scenes. I know we also have a bunch of things just popping off here in general at Draft Night Out here over the weekend. But I know you also have Pros with Joes in your charity league. So talk with that a little bit, if you would.
Yeah, Pros with Joes, proswithjoes.com, at Pros with Joes on Twitter. We're actually getting ready to launch our fundraising tomorrow. So we'll be making a bunch of noise about that. If you want to get yourself a couple of extra entries into a drawing of your choice, you have to pre-register. You can go to our website, proswithjoes.com. That way, whenever you donate to someone, we'll actually toss you a few extra entries into that drawing. It is something that is only available to pre-registrants. So again, proswithjoes.com. It's super simple. It's like a 4-question form. It's basically like, who are you and how do we get a hold of you if you win? So get over there, get registered, and then follow us on Twitter at Pros with Joes as we announce the official opening of fundraising and all of the pros that are participating this year.
Hell yeah. We appreciate that, man. I play every year for 826 National, a youth writing foundation out there. And so many other people way cooler than me are doing a bunch of other good charities as well. So make sure you get over there with Pros with Joes and get signed up here. I'm excited to draft with someone, man. Very excited for that as always. Thank you for your time here tonight, Eric. Ivan saying, when's the next mock? I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure what we have planned for the rest of the off season, but easiest way to make sure you don't miss anything, subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications as well, and we'll make sure they don't miss a beat here, guys. So thank you all so much. Kyle, thanks for your help in the back end as well, and we'll catch you next time. We'll catch you this Saturday, Draft Night Out. Let's have fun, y'all. Be safe on the travels. We'll catch you next time. Thanks, y'all.